From the Oklahoman newsroom, this is an OSU update. I'm Jenny Carlson here with OSU beat writer Scott Wright. Scott, we've been talking about NFL Combine and prep for the NFL Draft here now for a few weeks, but now it is time for the NFL Combine. It is this week, Wednesday. Quarterbacks, wide receivers, which is a large chunk of the Cowboys that will be there, they report and start through their process. Mason Rudolph will obviously be a guy that a lot of teams will be interested in. We've sort of seen him all over the map in draft projections. What's going to be important for him to potentially solidify himself in the draft?
I actually think the early part of the week is really important for him because I think that's the chance he has to show his mental approach to the game, his full understanding of running an offense, of reading a defense. I think those are some of the things that are going to help elevate him among some of these other draft guys that maybe have more physical tools or have done other things that have really caught the eyes of scouts. It's obviously a really heavy quarterback draft class when you look at Sam Darnold and Josh Allen and all the guys that are being talked about up at the top of this class, and that's a reason that you see Mason Rudolph falling down. I think if it wasn't so top heavy, I think we would be talking about him as close to a first round lock. But you look at some mock drafts now, you see him maybe sneaking into the end of the first round, maybe dropping as low as even the third round in some scenarios, because there are only so many teams that need a quarterback right now, and if you don't need a guy to come in right away, you're probably not going to use a first round pick for that, and you're going to wait a little bit. So with so many quarterbacks out there, there's a good chance that he drops down. But with that first part of the week, when he's weighing in and talking to GMs and doing all the interview process, I think that he really has a chance to separate himself because of his mental approach to the game and his mental capabilities as a quarterback.
Lots been said over the years about guys that play in the that up-tempo air raid style, and does it transition over to the pro game very well. Is there anything that you think Mason Rudolph can do to at least start to turn the corner in maybe some GM, president, scouts' minds that, I think about things like just being able to see the defense and go through progressions. I mean, that holds regardless of your system. Is that the type of stuff that he needs to start showing, or what can he do to start saying to these guys, listen, I know this is what we ran, but I can run the pro style too?
Yeah, it is. That's where his mental approach comes into play when he gets on the field, showing that he can make all the different throws that they want him to make. That 12-yard out to the far side of the field, things like that are important in the NFL game. Obviously, his deep ball skills are going to stand out, and that's a big deal for him to get out there and show that in the situation that they want him to show it in. So that will be important for him as well. But he's going to fight that stigma until somebody really breaks through and goes and has some success, whether it's Patrick Mahomes. We've had some guys that have come out of the Big 12 in those type of systems that have had a little bit of success, but nobody that's really popped and had the production level that a lot of people expected of them. But Rudolph is a guy with I think the skills to do what he needs to do to give himself a shot. It'll be a lot about what kind of situation that he ends up in. I think Brandon Weeden could have been a guy that popped and made that transition. But when you end up as one of those guys on that long list of Cleveland Brown quarterbacks, it's tough. It's snake bitten from the start.
The bar is high that you have to crawl over. Put on your soothsayer attire. Mm-hmm. Get out your crystal ball, Scott. And is there a team out there that you think all the stuff that you've seen, the projections, the mock drafts, that you feel like might be trending or liking Mason Rudolph? Maybe not as a first round, maybe it is a second or third, but a team or two that you feel like maybe his skill set, where he is, what they need could fit best?
I've been really curious to see a lot of stuff. There's been a lot of stuff from the Buffalo Bills showing some interest in him. Mm-hmm. I don't know whether or not they sneak up there and take him. They've got a couple of picks in the first round toward the end. I don't know that they'll go with him that high. But if he's still hanging around late in the second round, I definitely think that they would be a team that is interested. After that, it could go a lot of different ways. Guys that maybe have an established starter, but but want a more reliable backup, or they've got an old veteran. You know, I know whenever Oklahoma State went up to Pittsburgh and played, there were a lot of Pittsburgh fans that were looking at Mason Rudolph thinking he looks a lot like Ben Roethlisberger in the pocket there, and you know, maybe wouldn't mind having him as a backup guy for a year or two.
Yep, lots of scenarios out there. Obviously, we'll be paying close attention to what happens up in Indianapolis at the Combine this week. Measurables, interviews, and then obviously the on-field skills. We'll see how Mason Rudolph stacks out and what the folks have to say up there. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.